Good morning, everyone. Today, we will be discussing about the topic chemical disasters and the immediate concern. This topic I have taken due to the recent mishap that took place in the district of Vishakhapatnam, famously called as Vizag, in the state of Andhra Pradesh, where at the site of LG Polymers, there was a leakage of the gas called styrene. Due to the leakage of this gas, around 11 lives were claimed. Around 11 people died, and over 350 were hospitalized. At the same time, around 3 kilometer radius. So there was a completely the whole 3 kilometer radius was surrounded and the people were evacuated. It created a huge panic in the Vishakhapatnam district and eventually in the state of Andhra Pradesh. And the state or the chief minister of Andhra Pradesh has to come up with a huge compensation for the victims. This made me to come up with a broader analysis on the topic chemical disasters. So we will be digging a bit deeper to understand uh, how chemical disasters happened previously, what exactly their impact. So in this way, we will be discussing comprehensively about chemical disasters. So by taking the reference with the recent mishap, unfortunately the one that took place in the district of Vishakhapatnam in the state of Andhra Pradesh. So, where this particular information you can use. In GS paper 3, we have a topic called as disaster management. Under disaster management, you can use this as a subtopic, chemical disasters. So, in the examination, whenever you want to write something about disasters, so there for if you want to write it as a subtopic, there in that way also you can write. At the same time, if they specifically asks about chemical disasters, then this particular information will become a very handy tool for you. So here I have segmentized the whole chemical disaster component into certain subcomponents, like what exactly a chemical disaster and some of the recent examples. What are the factors that are actually causing the chemical disasters? Do we have any governmental regulations to control these kind of disasters, what exactly the impact of a chemical disaster, and eventually how to tackle and the way forward. So in this way the whole lecture will be going on. So before going into the details like chemical disaster and all, let us first try to understand what exactly the word disaster means. So disaster means, so here if you see the definition, it is a catastrophe or mishap or any calamity due to which, because it can be a man-made one or natural, because the disaster can the catastrophe or mishap or calamity, it can happen either man-made or natural. Natural means we have things like earthquakes, floods, and we have volcanic eruptions, and we have cyclones. So these all are the natural calamities, and we have man-made ones like we have terror activities or due to the mishap, because due to the ineffective handling of that particular factory or that particular that particular area. Suppose for example here we have this LG polymers, so due to the ineffective handling they could not able to predict the problem. So in this way, either due to the ineffective handling or due to some deliberate attempts made by anti-social elements against the state, so there can be happening of a catastrophic event. So due to which, if there is a loss of life or human sufferings and destruction of property and eventual environmental degradation. So in this way, if any catastrophic event or calamity, it creates a loss or sufferings and destruction of the property and eventual degradation of the environment. This is what we will be actually calling as the disaster. So this is the definition given by the National Disaster Management Act. Under the NDMA 2005, we have this particular definition. So it's a very comprehensive definition that defines what exactly a disaster means. So under the disaster, we have certain sub-segments, like we have chemical disasters, we have bio disasters, and we have the natural disasters. So here our topic is chemical disaster. Now let us try to understand what exactly chemical disaster means. So chemical disaster, it is occurrence of a disaster due to the release of hazardous chemicals. That means the chemical that are poisonous. So due to which, if there is a loss of property or a loss of lives and human sufferings and eventual environmental degradation, if that happens due to the release of the hazardous chemicals into the atmosphere, then that disaster is considered as chemical disaster. Here, because of the chemicals that are being released into the atmosphere, the disaster took place. So this we will be calling as a chemical disaster. So when it comes to India, to deal with all the aspects of disasters, so we have a nodal agency. The ministry is Ministry of Environment and Forest and Climate Change. So this is the nodal ministry that will be coming up with guidelines, coordinating with the other ministries and the states and other departments. So this is the nodal ministry to deal with disasters in the country. So in this way the definition goes. Then if you come to the next one, that means some of the examples, because you can understand better how the chemical disasters took place with certain examples. So here I have taken certain international examples along with national examples. If you take some international examples, this Piper Alpha is an oil platform. It is around off the coast of Scotland. So this incident took place in the year 1988. So there, due to the leakage of the gas into the ocean, it created a huge damage. Along with losing of lives, it created a huge damage to the marine ecosystem. So here, due to the ineffective handling of the oil platform from where they want to extract the gas, this particular incident took place. So this we will be considering as one of the chemical disasters that happened in the recent past, that means in the past 30-40 years. And the next one, so this is the most important one. So here, because of the deliberate attempt by the Iraqi forces, because you know the Gulf War in the year 1991, the Gulf War that took place between the American forces and the Iraqi forces to have a control over the Kuwait region. So that time, to control the American forces to not enter into the Gulf region, the Persian Gulf, the Iraqi forces, they deliberately exploded certain these gas fields so that they will not be entering into the Kuwait region. So due to which there is a huge damage to the marine ecosystem and the loss of lives in the Persian Gulf region. So it's a deliberate attempt by the individuals, okay, against another. So due to which we have seen this kind of disaster. So that's why we have taken this particular example. And the third one is recent example. Again, this here, the Texas City refinery explosion. So this is also due to the ineffective handling. So they could not able to handle the BP, the British Petroleum, they could not able to handle it effectively. Due to which we have seen this Texas City refinery explosion in 2005. These are some of the recent chemical related disasters. So we have, with respect to nuclear, we have the most famous Chernobyl, and we have the 3 Mile incident, we have the Fukushima disaster. They are with respect to the nuclear disasters. But here the concept is chemical one. That's why specifically I have taken the chemical disasters that took place around the world. And when it comes to the country specific examples, so the most famous till date is the Bhopal gas tragedy that took place in the year 1984. It shook the whole country. Most of you guys don't even remember, but even till date, there are people who are suffering and they haven't yet got proper compensation. At the same time, even till date, we haven't yet have any official figures like how many people died. Though there are multiple data that are present. Some people say that around 20,000 people died and lakhs of people are hospitalized and they are suffering with some permanent disabilities. And there are some official data that says like only 3,000, 4,000 people died. So we do not have any proper authenticated data, but still this particular Bhopal gas tragedy is one of the major chemical disasters that took place in the country in the recent past. Such a kind of magnitude. So you know, the institution or the particular the factory or the who was the individual who were actually behind it. It's an American company, Union Carbide Corporation. So it used to make one intermediate product, that is the methyl isocyanate. So this methyl isocyanate is an intermediate product to make some pesticide. So for the pesticide, so this particular product is a intermediate product. So to make this product, they established one chemical factory in the Bhopal region. So in the year 1984, in the early hours, this particular gas got leaked. Huge loss of damage to the individual's life and the property. So even till date, there are cases that are being fight. There people are fighting against. And that time there are a lot many political issues took place. It eventually became a political issue. So ruling party used to fight against opposition used to fight against ruling party. So the Bhopal gas tragedy became a very big political issue in the state of Madhya Pradesh and eventually in the country itself. So in this way, the Bhopal gas tragedy, so it became as of now a very big issue for the country. Then along with this, we have other incidents of chemical disasters, the one that took place in the district of East Godavari in the state of Andhra Pradesh in 2014. So there also, because they want to extract the gas from the KG basin. So we have the KG basin off the coast of Bay of Bengal near to East Godavari region. So this GAIL company, the Gas Authority of India, wants to extract the gas from there. So it laid down pipelines. So along under the agricultural fields. So one of the pipeline it broke. So due to which, so there was eruption of fire and some loss of lives and property. So that took place in 2014. And the most recent one is the 2017 Delhi gas leak in the in the national capital territory, Delhi. So surrounding to that, there was a chemical factory. So there, the chemical fumes. So when they came out, so there was a school nearby that. Around 450 children were, they went into the state of unconscious. So they were hospitalized. So it created a huge panic situation to the national capital territory called Delhi. So that was one of the recent examples. And the current example is the one that took place a few days back, the Vishakhapatnam gas leak, the leakage of this styrene gas, the one that is being used to make certain polymers, these plastic products by these LG polymers. So these are some of the examples of international and at the national level that we have seen. So this ultimately making us to discuss to what extent these chemical disasters, so they create an impact on the individual. So ultimately disaster means the way the individual lives and the property and the environment they got affected. So due to the release of the chemicals, because of the ineffective handling or deliberate explosion or deliberate leaking of these chemicals into the atmosphere. So these are some of the examples. So now if you come to the next one, that is, what are the exactly factors? So as we discussed, there are multiple factors that are responsible for releasing of these chemicals into the atmosphere and eventual loss of property, lives, and polluting the environment. So one of the major factors that are responsible for these chemical disasters is, in most of the occasions, so because most of the companies they are into the making of profits. So even if the particular equipment is getting old, so they feel like, okay, let us try to extract as maximum as possible. So there is a ceiling for that. So there is a limit to use, but still most of these companies they think like, okay, let me try to use it furthermore, because so that I don't need to spend more for its modernization. So even if the new technologies are coming up, so they feel like if I invest more on this, because there are multiple factors responsible for this. So on one side, when it comes to chemical factories getting permissions, and sometimes there will be environmental corruption, so due to which the kind of profit that they will make on this, though the profit will be more, but the risk factor also will be more. So with this reason, most of them, because of the other factors that are dominating, like this corruption challenges and managing with others. So with this reason, they do not they do not upgrade the machines. So when the machine is getting old, there are more chances of ineffectiveness. Sometimes during the right time, it might not work. So that is also one of the reasons for the happening of these leaks. So when the system is not effectively functioning, when the pressure is getting increased, when the system is not properly reacting to that, then the mishap can happen. And sometimes these human errors. Suppose, for example, right now, when because of these lockdown situations, if there is not proper sufficient man force, and there are chances of human errors, if you do not follow proper standard operation procedures, then the mishap can happen. Sometimes again here, because of this lack of proper coordination, so one particular department thinks like, okay, we did our task, the other one did think like, oh, we also did our task. So because of this lack of proper coordination among the different departments within that particular factory, so that also can be a reason for this. And the next one, the most important one, when there is a natural calamity, this natural calamity, it will be acting as a catalyst. Suppose if there is any particular factory that is near to the coast, whenever there is a cyclone, then there are more chance of damages to this particular factory. So then eventually, if there is an earthquake, if so, that's what happened in the Gujarat when the Burj earthquake took place in 2001. So that shook the whole Gujarat. So along with that, this Kandla port. So in that Kandla port, we have this particular making of this chemical acrylonitrile. So this particular factory, it got affected due to the particular earthquake. So then that got eventually released into the atmosphere, and huge casualties. The casualties got further amplified along with the casualties that took place because of that earthquake. So at the same, this irregular maintenance. So these all are the reasons for this. So on one side, so we have the natural reasons. Along with that, we have the human errors and lack of coordination. So these all are the factors that are responsible for happening of these kind of disasters. Because at one level, if there is a small mistake, so that eventually amplifies, and at that to these kind of chemical disasters, because these are the poisonous ones. Once they release into the atmosphere, so there is a sudden there's a sudden impact on the individual lives. So here, even if you try to stop also, you cannot come up with the immediate solution to this, because these are very poisonous gases. So you need a very swift action by the agencies to stop these kind of disasters. So that's a very big challenge. At least if you take the case of cyclone, because it's a year on year happening thing, so at least we can predict. But whereas for these kind of things, coming up with a very swift solution is very challenge. So that's why at the same time, it immediately impacts the individual. If you take the case of styrene, though there is no scientific study that inhaling this particular gas suddenly leading to the fatality, but if you inhale continuously, it impacts your central nervous system. Once it impacts your CNS, central nervous system, then if you take it more, if you inhale it more, then the eventual fatality took place. That's what happened to the 11 lives. They might be impacted, they might be inhaled the more. That's the reason the fatality took place. So in that way, according to the type of gas also, the impact of the disaster, we will see. So these are the factors that are responsible for happening of a chemical disaster. So the next one is, so do we have any governmental regulations to tackle it? Of course, so we will be definitely having a strong regulations, but the challenge is how these regulations are actually able to regulate for not happening of a chemical disaster. But here we should understand a bit more specific manner. If you see, in the initial years, like that means like until this Bhopal tragedy took place, previously we used to have only the IPC regulations. We used to have only the Indian Penal Code regulations. So if at all any disaster takes place, immediately the case will be booked under the section 304. Section 304 means culpable homicide not amounting to murder. Murder means you have the intention to kill that particular individual. Not amounting to murder means the individual is eventually dying, but you don't have any intention because it happened due to the mishap. So in that way, under section 304, culpable homicide doesn't amount to murder, the case will be booked. And we have another section 304A, death due to the negligence. Because of your negligence, the death took place. So you will be arrested because you neglected that. And the punishment is also not stringent. So pre 1984 Bhopal gas tragedy, we used to have these two sections. But after that, on one side, the Environmental Protection Act came. Even we also got to know that we have to strengthen the public liability. We have to strengthen the regulations with respect to the chemical disasters. That's why we came up with this Environmental Protection Act, under which, so whenever, if you want to come up with any chemical factory, first you have to follow the Environmental Protection Act regulations, under which the central government will regulate it. Under the central government means, here we have the Ministry of Environment and Forest. So you have to take permission from the Ministry of Environment and Forest. That means what kind of factory you're coming up, what will be the extent of its impact on the environment, how you will manage it. So each and everything will be regulated under the Environmental Protection Act. Along with that, we also came up with another act called as this Public Liability Act. So under which, so there will be a liability. Suppose if there is any mishap that took place, so how much amount as a compensation we have to pay, so how that amount has to be paid. So these all will be taken care under the Public Liability Insurance Act. So through this act, so the government and the particular the factory that is responsible for this, they are liable to pay certain amount as insurance. So this is what we call as the liability. So in this way, for those with for the victims and for the victims and the kin of those individuals who suffered, so for these individuals, so there will be certain amount of compensation that will be paid under this Public Liability Insurance Act. Along with that, we have this National Environment Appellate Authority. So this National Environment Appellate Authority, you can appeal. Suppose, for example, which factory has to come in which place, whether that particular place is suitable for coming up of this factory or not. Suppose, for example, if you want to come up with a, suppose this kind of LG polymers, whether the region is suitable for this or not. So if the population is getting growing in the region, so eventually the factory has to be shut down or it has to be moved to another place. So in that way, you can file an appeal. So for that, we have this authority called as the National Environment Appellate Authority, created in the year 1997. So we have these regulations, and we became with another most famous one, the National Green Tribunal. The beauty of National Green Tribunal is that it follows the principles of natural justice. It do not follow IPC. It follows principles of natural justice. It is beyond IPC. It takes so much action. That's what it did even for this LG Polymers. It asked LG Polymers to submit its report, and it even asked it to keep 50 crore rupees with the government. So as a kind of initial compensation, once the review happens, then it may further got increased. So it follows principles of natural justice. Immediately it takes up the case. It even appointed one committee under the former AP High Court judge, so to review the particular situation, like what exactly happened in the LG Polymers case, how the whole gas leak took place. So in that way, we have this National Green Tribunal. So National Green Tribunal, the very purpose of it is like it gives instructions to the CPCB, Central Pollution Control Board. It also passes instructions to the state pollution control boards. What you people are taking, what you people are doing to take care of the environment. So in that way, we have this NGT. Along with NGT, we have this most famous National Disaster Management Act. So for all the disasters in the country, it can be a natural disaster or the man-made disaster. So we have a national framework for it. So we have NDMA. We created National Disaster Management Authority. Along with that, we have created National State Disaster Management Authorities. So here, by using the concurrent list, so we have a concurrent list called as, under the concurrent list, we have this entry number 23. It deals with social security and social insurance. So under the social security aspect, this NDMA came up, National Disaster Management Authority. Under this National Disaster Management Authority, the central government will provide guidelines in what way the disaster has to be tackled, who will be coming for help. So for all these things, the macro level framework what we have is NDMA, National Disaster Management Act, under which National Disaster Management Authority. So in that way, suppose for example, that's what I mentioned here, the number of This is the NDMA that provides data around 1861 major hazardous units we have in the country. So it will identify what are the hazardous units, what is the what is the risk factor for these hazardous units. It will identify all those things. So like that, so we have a very better regulations in the country. So we are not want of any regulations. So we have a very better regulations. But the thing is, how effectively we are implementing these regulations that actually matters. So in that way, we have the better regulations. So through these regulations, we are actually governing the chemical related disasters and even other disasters also. Then if you come the impact. So how these kind of disasters, they're actually creating an impact on components, certain components. So here I took the four components. How natural these chemical disasters, they're impacting on people, environment, economy, and society. First one is on individuals. Of course, life, loss of lives, disabilities, stress on public health. Right now, if you see the way the people are suffering in that, they were hospitalized. Right now, the public health infrastructure in the country is not up to the mark, like it's not fully potent enough to take care of all these aspects. The public health expenditure is very low. Whenever these kind of mishaps took place, then it creates a huge challenge onto the public health infrastructure. And on environment, as you all know, it creates a huge damage to the biodiversity, especially to the locality. And the air will get polluted. And to purify that, it takes a lot of time according to the intensity. That means to what extent the leak took place. Accordingly, it may take sometimes months to purify the whole local environment. And it creates a huge challenge to the life that the local atmospheric cycles, because these pollutants will react with the local air molecules. So that creates a huge challenge at the local environment level. And on economy, though this chemical industry is contributing substantially, around 2.11 percentage of GDP is being contributed by the chemical industry. So if at all these kind of mishaps took place, it slows down the investment. It slows down the industry. So because the government has to come up with further stringent regulations. So the people who want to invest on these sector, on these chemical related factories, especially in the chemical industry, they may get impacted. So with that, what will happen? The eventual loss to the country's economy also. If at all, if anybody wants to come from outside to come and invest, they also feel like, okay, the regulations are more and these kind of disasters are happening. So this is not the right time to come and invest. So the investments also will be slowed down. And on society, next time if any new place, if you want to come up with any kind of chemical factory, then there will be protests. What we are seeing right now for the nuclear power plants. Though nuclear power plants are safe, but still people are feeling like these kind of power plants, they may create a damage. But these kind of incidents, they may give further strength to the people to protest. They say like, no, we don't want to factory in our area. See, if all the people says that we do not want chemical factories, so where you can construct? Very big challenge. Land is a state subject. So when people protest, the state governments cannot do anything. So eventually they have to compromise. So in this way, there is a all-round impact, negative impact onto the people, onto the environment, onto the economy, and onto the society. So it creates a huge challenge. And one side the immediate impact, the second one is the long-term impact. So how to tackle it? So does this mean that we should completely stop? No. So there should be some kind of balance. We cannot completely shut down the industry. At the same time, we cannot allow this kind of incident to repeat in the coming days ahead. So what should we do? So that to tackle this, the solution that is like, so we need to have a proper comprehensive study. Suppose for example we have this hazard and operational study. So there should be frequent evaluating of the problems. So from time to time we have to evaluate, because these industries are hazardous. So there need to be strict implementation of the guidelines. At the same time, what are the rule books that are available? These rule books has to be strictly followed. Suppose for example, this hazard and operational study. So because these are the hazardous industries, so for this you should keep on, like for it, on a timely basis, you have to come and evaluate the problems and you have to rectify. So if there is small thing, you can be able to solve it. So you should not make the problem to grow. So for that appropriate maintenance, you should not think like, okay, next year we will be coming and investing for an upgradation. So for these kind of industries, the upgradation has to happen as early as possible. So you have to conduct mock drills. You have to tell people whenever these can, suppose you have an industry. So to the surrounding people, they need to be conducting of the mock drills. So whenever if any kind of this kind of thing happens, immediately what people has to do, what kind of first aid measures they have to follow, so that there won't be any kind of fatalities. So these kind of trainings we have to provide. Eventually, we have to come up with R&D. We have to come up with a national level database for the chemical, for these like chemical accident related data. So wherever these factors are there, to the surrounding people, you have to create a huge awareness. Mock drills has to be conducted. We should tell them if there is any mishap happens, what kind of instructions we have to follow. If you do not follow these kind of measures, and if you think like business as usual, then we cannot stop these disasters. Because if one disaster happens, it is having a huge ripple effect. We will be falling, we will fall into the trap of the vicious cycle. Vicious cycle means one problem will lead to another problem will lead to another problem, eventually circulating the whole problem. So the problems will get amplified. Eventually, it create a huge challenge not only to the state but also to the individual and eventually to the factory. It may eventually lead to shutdown of the factory. So that shouldn't happen, because if there is shutdown of the factory, there are people who are being employed, and there is an income, there is a revenue that is being generated because of it. So shutdowning a particular factory or shutdowning a particular unit is not a solution. So how effectively you are managing and maintaining it, and by predicting the problem, so that ultimately provides a solution to these kind of challenges. So if these kind of guidelines are being followed, so in the coming days ahead, so we will not face these kind of challenges, and the people also will be happy. If the people are happy, the state will be happy. If the state is happy, the industry will be happy. So with that, so we will be concluding the topic. Thank you.